Kitty. Hello,
I like that we
everybody.
start with the broadcast with the cat. Yay!
Of course.
Kii-Chan cat is now a CosTalk live host.
Yep.
So,
This is
I
kind of
support this.
Jump in my lap.
So we are live, and hello, everybody. My ears are just gonna keep moving because I folded these up weird, but that's fine. So today is a special day since we kind of have some individuals out, and since Sam sort of forgot to schedule some guests and things, we decided to do a Q&A day, which I know we've actually had people ask us to do before. So here it is. Here's our Q&A day. And so we'll go ahead and introduce ourselves, and then we do have some questions already that we can start going through, which is awesome. So let's go ahead and my little ears are falling again. No, okay, I might just have to take this off because it's but
you started the stream in it, so it counts. You were in it.
Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll start with you, Amber. Let's have you introduce yourself.
Hi guys, I am Amber Brite. I am a professional prop maker here in Phoenix, Arizona. I make horns and alien heads and weapons and all sorts of fun stuff. And I've been cosplaying since like 2013, so a few years.
Just a few, just a couple. Well, thank you. And Kii-Chan?
Hi everyone. Daylight saving strikes again. I am not on my game today. I am makeupless, but I am cosplaying Baxeldon from Critical Role because he's one of my favorite casual boys. Have you heard of Gilmore's Glorious Goods? I'm a Seattle cosplayer. I don't have an intro today. I will just answer questions as they come because I'm not functioning. I'm still partially through my caffeine. So good morning, everyone. I've been cosplaying for 13 years. It's nice to see you.
Nice to meet you too. I am Sam from Thermocosplay, and I've been cosplaying for I don't know. I can't math right now, so since 2014, the end. And so I'm like tired. But 7 years, I guess, right? Okay, maybe I can math. And I've made a bunch of costumes and experimented with a bunch of materials, and I am very excited about doing our question and answer session today. So please, please, please keep posting questions to the chat here in the comment section today, and we will go through them. If we run out of questions, what we're going to do is go through the She Prop Challenge prompts that exist for this month, and we'll kind of run through our experiences as cosplayers and more. So today, let's see here. The first question that we had came from Shelby, and it was Shelby asked, what cosplay piece you're most proud of? So I have our pages up. Is there something that you guys can immediately associate as a cosplay piece that you're like absolutely proud of?
I mean, mine is super easy. Mine is my Mandalorian Nautilin. For those who know Star Wars, Mandalorians are a culture of bounty hunters, and Nautilins are a race of squid people, essentially. I was the first approved Nautilin Mandalorian ever. Yep, so that's Ori Shoshe.
I was there.
Yeah, you were. Well, I was chasing her.
I kept fixing her boobs, like her husband and I kept fixing her boobs with the paper exactly like a finger difference apart.
Yeah. So she's like the only one in existence. She's the only one approved by the Mando Mercs, which is a charity costuming organization. She took about 1.5 years to make. Her faceplate is removable. And then I have a prosthetic underneath that gives me the squid face as well. So, yeah, so there's me with one of my clansmen. So that was one of those builds that every time I told people I was making a Nautilin Mandalorian, they'd be like, oh, okay. Because people have been saying for ages that they're going to make this Nautilin Mandalorian. And I actually followed through. So, Yep. So there's me with the rest of my clan. So go Shannari Vakabla. Yay.
Yay.
She's just a really cool build, and she's like a super niche character. I mean, most people don't know what Nautilins are. Most people don't know what Mandalorians are, but I was very proud of her and proud to do something that like no one had done before because that's pretty rare in cosplay.
Yeah,
So.
the first time I saw your Nautilin, I was like, because I'm one of those people that even though I haven't had a chance to read through all the books and comics, I've tried, and I may spend at least 1 or 2 hours a week on Wikipedia just because I find all the lore so intriguing.
Yeah. So my next lofty goal is a Chagrian. So that'll hopefully be by the end of next year or so.
Ooh. Okay, I gotta pull up a picture of a Chadrian for people.
Chagrians are really cool.
Yeah, I'm lost. I'm not part of the Star Wars culture at all. I grew up on Star Trek and watched Star Wars for the first time. Like,
so we're gonna show you guys what a Chagrian looks like. Here we go. Not that. This.
Yep. So he was the advisor to Palpatine. Female Chagrians, instead of the horns, get these really cool like ridges on their forehead. So that's my goal coming up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
That one technically, that image has the female having a smooth head, but in other media,
they have more.
Have a ridge. So
there were more photos up here. I don't know where they all went.
No, it's a super niche species. Yeah. So that'll be one of those things where people are like, "What are you?" And I go, "If you don't know, I'm not going to bother explaining."
No, it's a little complicated, but you want to learn more about Star Wars races. Wikipedia has a huge list, and it's amazing. So that's how I learned about like Dutchmans and so many other creatures that are amazing. So. Kii-Chan, is there a piece that you were most proud of?
It's so hard. Like, I guess, like, I can't, like, I love a different part of every one of my costumes because I usually pick a costume based off of a piece that I want to learn how to build. My very, very first, like, this is what broke me into cosplay, like, competition and stuff, was my Arabian Nagisa from Splash Free Awatobi Swim Club. He is kind of my catch-all. I wore him to a ton of different cons for many years until I finally retired him. And then I made Haru as the Splash Free version of Haru. So I kind of like, that's my favorite stuff because it took a lot of different like silks and satins, and I had to learn how to do jewelry, and I did a lot of like weird foam pieces for all of them. But like, there's always going to be a little soft spot in my heart for Nagisa because that was the first time I ever challenged myself to build an entire costume from scratch by myself. And I'm so happy with how that looks. Like, still to this day, it's one of my favorite costumes. But it was fairly simple compared. Now my favorite would be the Demon Rom that I've done, just because he's taken so many rebuilds and he's taken so much work, and he's such a like, you have to be a huge fan, kind of like your costume is like, you have to know Show by Rock and you have to know the Show by Rock game to know who he is. And so like, I love him because he's such an under the table character, but I love his costume so much. And it was so fun to build, and I'm really excited to do another one from the video game versus the anime, because the anime is great, but his costume is so simple in the anime that I'm like, nah, I'm gonna do the video game version. So that I did a lot of like weird pieces for him, and I've redone those boots like 4 times, and I've done multiple competitions, like 2 skits in him. So I guess it'd probably be a tie between Nagisa and my Demon Rom. They're 2 that I still want to bring back and like wear all the time.
There you go. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that, but like after you mentioned Show by Rock, I started looking stuff up, and I was like, oh, this is really cool.
It's really cute. Okay, my Demon Rom has nothing to do with the anime. It has nothing to do with demons or anything. But like, if you need like a cute, fun anime to watch, both the sub and the dub of Show by Rock is just such a good feel-good anime that just makes you smile.
Yeah. So, before we move on to my the piece I'm most proud of, I guess, we have people saying hi. Hello. Hello, Kat, and hello, Anthony.
Hello, everyone.
Loves the Raven costume, Amber, and then DJ Yannick. Hello from the UK. Hi, and thank you. We're all having fun today, dressing nice and simple. So, they'll have questions. We'll answer your questions shortly, DJ. Okay, never mind. Okay, DJ Yannix's question is actually really easy. What was your choice of socks today?
I have fuzzy kitty socks.
Fuzzy one.
I have
focus slippers.
Yeah, I have literally leprechaun socks. So
Slippers.
slippers.
You guys can do it
fuzzy
cheating
kitty
today
socks.
too, because I'm wearing the full cat suit instead of the bodysuit. So
Kii-Chan, what did you say?
No
you
fur
have?
legs.
I have like fuzzy socks that have like little kitties on them.
Oh,
There you go. So I have leprechaun socks. You got a Sokatano. Why can't I do this? I'm so bad at this. Sokatano slippers and then fuzzy kitty socks. So thank you for.
You don't see the bottom half of my costume. I'm only putting the top half on. Like, you got to be kidding me. It's Sunday and I didn't get any.
I have like this big kigu on because I'm cold, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna wear my fleece kigu over my clothes.
I was like, I could wear the full like leotard with the high cut and stuff like that, but as previously discussed, it's sheer all the way down here. So we decided to be family friendly today and just wear the cat instead.
Yeah. So the question we had before from Shelby was a cosplay piece that you're most proud of. Amber was most proud of the Mandalorian Nautilin, and Kii-Chan was most proud of Nikita. Why am I
Nikita.
or Demon Realm. So toss up there. Toss up, which is, I mean, that's one thing too. Like a lot of cosplayers are like, my favorite.
If you don't say Garrus here, I'm going to be so disappointed.
You know Thane?
Or Thane, sorry. Oh my God. Take away my
I am doing Turian, but I'm doing Nyreen Kandros, and I'm working. Okay. I'm starting her right now.
I mean Thane. I was picturing Thane in my head. Obviously, right. I need to drink more coffee.
Yeah, no, I actually was pulling up Thane. So the piece I'm most proud of would be specifically the mask that I made for Thane Krios. I sculpted it from scratch. I had to create a hard mold for it because of the type of silicone I was casting in. I couldn't have a child mold inside. You can't have a soft mold in it, or you run the risk of the silicone not curing all the way. So I had to learn how to use Eurofill to thicken the resin so that I have a strong enough hard mold to rotocast into, which is where you pour the solution in for silicone and you just keep moving so it coats all the areas. And I also used a quick cure of silicone. My silicone was fully cured in 3 hours, but I let it set overnight just because I was paranoid. So I would say that, yeah, making this mask was quite possibly the piece I'm most proud of because, let me scroll down here. I mean, it's a really nice mask. For the first try. I've never made a mask in my life.
There's just something beyond description when you take something that's from a video game that people are like, that can't exist, it can't be real, and then you make it real. Like I think that's one of the most addicting things about cosplay for me is when people are like, oh, that's CGI. Well, guess what? I build what they CGI, and I'm like, it's addicting. It really is. To be like, this only exists in media, but I've made it real.
Yeah, and that's what Thane was for me. It was one of those things where I'm like, I think I can do this.
Yeah.
And, you know, like 150 hours later. Sure.
For all those people who just jumped on, yes, that was my cat, Pepidoo. Like, we got a bunch of comments. That was Pepidoo. She just ditched me.
Pepidoo's been here the whole morning, and then Pepidoo decided, I'm tired of listening to these people talk, so bye. But yeah, no, I would say it would be Thane. That would be the piece I'm most proud of. So thank you for asking that question, Shelby. So since we do have another question here, I'll go to that, and then I'll get to Shelby's second question because Shelby had questions for us. And hello, Chris, and hello, Hagrid. Good seeing you. Hello, George. And as we all said, yes, that was a kitty sneaking in there. So we have Venericio. I hope I said your name right. And you're asking, in what ways would you like to see the cosplay hobby industry advance in the future? So personally, I would like places like Cricut and other companies to stop just magically coming up with, oh, you know what? You bought our product. You spent $300 on the actual machine. Now we're going to charge you for uploading designs to our software that we can use across the world. Like basically people are creating designs for this company. Now the company's going to charge them. And it's not just Cricut. There's other places that are doing that too, where like with 3D printing, where you spend $300 or $500 on a 3D printer. And because they've got proprietary software, they keep doing updates for a certain amount of time, and then all of a sudden they start charging you for the updates. And it could be something critical, which, just so you all know, there are actually laws about to go into place to prevent companies from doing that, because it's become such a big problem, and it is actually against certain regulations. So hopefully Cricut won't actually be able to do that, but they might find a loophole. So that's what I want to see in the hobby and advanced industry, is when you buy hardware, you spend tons of money on it, and you buy the software, you shouldn't keep getting charged afterwards. Like if it was cloud hosted, sure, but when you have the physical hardware in your home using your energy and your space, you shouldn't be charged after that.
Mm-hmm. I think that kind of goes hand in hand with where I want to see cosplay. I want to see cosplay go more mainstream. Like I don't want to have like when I go and pick up materials and people go, oh, what do you do for a living? I don't want to have to be like, all right, do you know what cosplay is? Because then that's like a whole can of worms. And going back to the Cricut thing, like let me back it up a minute. Like think about our foam options for those of us who've been in the cosplay world, I guess, for 5-6+ years. We remember when the only foam that we could use was floor mats. Mm-hmm. And now we've got SKS has beautiful high def foam. Yaya Han has foam available in Joann's. Like, I mean, that's amazing. 5 years ago, I would never have been able to just go out and get foam dowels just out of the blue. And a lot of that availability of better materials and accessibility has come with cosplay moving from this niche market into a much more mainstream market. And I'd like to see that trend continue, because I would love to see a competitor, or I would love to see somebody come up with a hack for Cricut, so this freaking $400 machine I bought doesn't become a $1,000 machine.
Yeah,
because I want to use it for the things I bought it for. So like that's kind of what I would like to see. And I think Yaya and a lot of Evil Ted and Stella Chu, a lot of these big cosplayers are pushing us into craft stores. And I'd love to see us pushed further in. And along those veins, I'd like to see a cosplay TV show that actually shows more than just the competition side of cosplay. Yes. And I know that's rich coming from somebody who does a lot of costume contests as the judge, but like, there's so much more to cosplay than competing.
That's a big thing. Yeah, because cosplay takes over space, your life, your relationships. And so it's kind of something you have to learn how to assimilate.
Yeah, but there's also like everyone cosplays for different reasons. You know, there are people who all they want to do is compete, but there are people who never take a picture of their kit but are at the hospital every week, you know, doing charity work. There's people who have like 200 costumes and don't have a social media page, because for them the experience of being in cosplay is the main reason. So I'd love to see more exposure of that part, as opposed to just, oh, let's compete with each other, because yes, competition is fun, but like for the vast majority of us, that's not why we cosplay. Like,
right. And like, if it's not a cosplay competition show, then they play off cosplay as like a weird quirk that somebody has. Because there's a lot of like British shows where they show cosplayers and they're like, oh, well, let's change your style because you're ugly. And I'm like, whoa, like this person has 200 costumes in their closet who wear something that they think is a pretty costume, and you're telling them that's ugly. Like that really brings down a lot of the younger another kitty. A lot of the younger community, because like we have tough skin. We've all been through it all. We've fought hard for our place, and we're already really confident and we're okay with everything. But like there's a bunch of young people getting into this community, and they're seeing a lot of the negative side of the media of cosplay. So for me, I would just love to see more positivity to keep growing in the community, because yes, we are getting more mainstream, but that's like a double-edged sword in my opinion. Like there's been a lot of like really negative stuff coming out of the mainstream. And as a cosplayer who's been here since like early 2000s, like I loved the niche feeling of just like a bunch of weirdos going to a hotel lobby and talking about the costumes that they were building out of plastic bins and like Pringle cans. And so like for me, I'll always love like that part of cosplay, and I hope other young cosplayers can experience that too. So I just hope there's a lot more positivity in just essentially like all fields of cosplay. Like if we had a show that was about cosplay, that was about actual cosplay and not just the competitions, it would show so many younger viewers that cosplay is a very wide hobby and there's so much you could do.
I would like to take the opportunity to plug Bros and Cons. Oh, is that Kitty?
I got jealous.
This will be just these will be kitty videos. That's all this is going to be.
I found some foam to carry off, so I'm a little concerned about that. But yeah, like I would like to plug Bros and Cons for doing their Cosplay versus the World mini series, because they actually have gone out, and Rob in the comments is one of the people that they filmed. They went out and found different people doing different things with cosplay. And so if you are new to cosplay and want to see why people like cosplay and why different people like different parts of cosplay, that's a show that is like really great. Yeah, Bros and Cons. And their filmography is absolutely gorgeous. So they've done, I think there's, yes, and it is a slightly like self-serving promo, since I was one of the people that they did videotape for it. But they do, it's a great example of how cosplay can mean different things to different people, which I love.
I mean, I guess I didn't answer the question because it was about industry, but like, I mean, they said it all. Like, we want to just see more positivity. We want to see things become more mainstream, where we don't have to spend a lot of money on something we've already spent a lot of money on, because it's already an expensive hobby. Like, they said it all. So,
sorry, technical difficulties related to the kid.
So we have some more. We have plenty of more questions. I don't want to. I'll have to scroll up some, but we're going to go to another question that we had that was posted earlier this week by Shelby. And the other question was, "What is the weirdest technique that you've had to learn for cosplay?"
Oh my god! Like weirdest, as in like people question like your sanity when you're doing it, or like
you know what? I think one question sanity and one that you found weird. I think if we do one of each, like one of where people are like, "What the hell are you doing?" And then the other one, like you're literally asking yourself, "What the hell am I doing?"
I just had this with one of my friends where I was like, "Oh, I need to go make a duct tape dummy and chop it up so for this pattern," and my friend, who has nothing to do with cosplay whatsoever, was like, "You have to do what? You have to, you're doing what with what?" So I had to explain, yes, I am making a plastic and duct tape version of myself so that I can draw on it. And then like, it's so ubiquitous in the cosplay world. And then I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm just going to go do this duct tape dummy." And my friend was like,
"It's fine."
What? That's one that like I feel is very common to cosplayers, but if you get outside of cosplay, like who thinks of like taping yourself up so you know
that's actually a really good one. I've gone to the dollar store many times for saran wrap and duct tape, and the faces that I get, like I mean a lot of it too. It looks like I'm wrapping up a body, okay? Because I am wrapping up a body. Like, my body. But it's funny how many times I've gone and like, so why do you need all this? I was like, "Oh, I'm making patterns off of bodies." And then they're like, "Oh, wait,
yeah,
my body." That's a good one.
Yeah, it literally just happened like last week, and I was like, "Oh yeah, duct tape dummies are really weird." Like, oh yeah.
I mean, I carry around mannequin arms.
Yep.
I mean, like, that's a hard question.
Is it weird to dismember your mannequin to form your Warbler around?
my greatest, like one of my favorite things is I have a mannequin that's one of those hard plastic mannequins, and I use various parts of its body for shaping things. So,
Yeah.
oh, I just in order to make a new Mando breastplate yesterday, I was using a hamster ball to shape Sintra.
Oh, I used.
I
I
mean,
gotta show
yeah.
this. I gotta show this. Where is it? Oh my gosh! I can show you guys this.
I think
So-
for me, like,
Can you see this? So you see this egg? I took the end of a Nerf gun and then I took a child's toy egg and I cut holes in it and I used that for my Mandalorian rocket pack. It looks like it. It's actually just soda cans covered in foam, 2 rubber balls, and a child's egg.
Yep.
So I mean, I think it looks really cool in the end, but I guess it's your definition of weird.
right? No, because like I know. So my old roommate wasn't a cosplayer. And so when crunch season happened, I'd always give them a heads up because I'm like, hey, I'm sorry. Like, there's just going to be wigs and fabric and foam just all over the house. And I'm going to apologize ahead of time. Because, like, I would have like half projects everywhere. I'd have just like wigs hanging to dry and like fabric laying out. And just like foam pieces that were drying, like paint pieces. And she stopped questioning it after like the first time, like the first con. She's like, oh, I kind of get it. But I just remember her expression when she came in one day and I had like 3 weeks drying and I had this big, huge cloak out drying and I was painting this piece. And so I had a bunch of like spray paint out where I was just like testing types and it was just such a mess. And she's like, I'll just go stay with a friend this weekend. Like, have fun. Like, use my space if you need it. Don't worry about it.
Good luck. Bye.
Yeah.
But I guess the weirdest thing that I don't know, like for us, it seems normal. So like, there's a lot of things I'm like, well, that's not weird. But then I realize that that's weird for other people because like foam and fiberglass. And, like, I love burning shit. Like, I love taking a hot iron to my fabrics and my foams to like weather it. That's like one of my favorite techniques that I do. And I use, I guess, nail polish for my paint, which is weird in the cosplay community because it's so expensive for a little bottle. But like, I love the look that it gives off. But the technique is I'm learning shibari right now for a photo
So I
shoot.
need to introduce you to lacquers.
Well, I mean, yeah, but like I did this really cool crown piece and I did it all in nail polish and
Lacquer. They come in bigger bottles.
Yes, but like there's so many more colors of nail polish. So yeah, this is here. This is the weird thing I do.
It's not weird. I use nail polish for like details and stuff like that too. I'm just
For bigger pieces, yeah.
yeah, it's perhaps not the most cost-effective thing you can do. I mean, if it works for you, like you're killing it. So obviously, like continue, but
Right. But weirdest technique would be shibari because I'm like actively learning
and
how
for
to
those
do
who aren't familiar with shibari, it's a series of knotting and ties that are done very carefully, and there's like ritual stuff associated with it. There's also like intimate stuff associated. It depends with the person.
Yeah, so shibari is a Japanese practice of knot tying that actually came out of the Meiji era. At least that's as far back as we have notes on it. And so it is very, very cool and it's often used very artistically. And so I'm working on shibari for some of my hero projects with a photographer. But because it can become very dangerous if you tie something too tightly or if you have a knot that ends up on a nerve, I have to do a lot of like anatomy research and a lot of like biology stuff before I'm considered like proper enough to put myself in ropes. And so like the last couple of months have been on and off studies on just biology and knots and crazy shit like that. And I'm like, well, this is new for cosplay, that's for sure.
And it's important to do shibari with a support structure too. You always want to have
somebody.
rope bunnies and there as people who are just, because one of the things that if you have just a photographer and a cosplayer, the cosplayer is focused on or the model. The model is focused on modeling and looking good. The photographer is focused on aperture and exposure, et cetera, et cetera. I always, always, always recommend, especially if it's something that could be dangerous, having a third person who is there just to pay attention to the model and make sure that the model is safe.
Yeah, no, because what I'm doing, the reason why I didn't just like dive in and jump into just doing some pictures with it is because we want it to actually be traditional shibari, which means it's very tight and it can become dangerous. And so the photographer I'm working with actually studies shibari and she's very good at it, which is why she's like, I won't shoot you until you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So I've been doing a lot of studies on this and hopefully I'm really excited to eventually get there, but I'm going to do it properly and actually do my proper research and learn how to do it before I dive into this project.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different things that you can be considered weird. I guess the weirdest thing I can think of outside of what everybody else has mentioned, when I get drag queen boobs, they have very pronounced nipples, so I cut them off.
That's awesome.
I don't even bother band-aiding them. I just go, and then I seal it with some silicone and we're done.
Dude, we should do a whole segment on boudoir cosplay and just what goes into a boudoir look and getting the shape you want, because people are like, oh, sexy cosplay, it's so easy. Like, yeah, you can do just like lingerie and a wig and that's fine. But for a lot of things, like with my Raven, a lot of the other looks I do, there's a lot of glue involved. There's contouring different parts of your body.
Nice skin tone, you need to have netting or meshing so that you don't have to worry about post editing your skin. So like there's a lot that goes involved in it, especially like you said, body shapes. Everyone's body shape's different. So sometimes you might need corset or basically Under Armour to work with this particular thing. So
and making all your bits down below look nice. There's a lot of consideration there.
I would love to do an episode on that because I've never done one myself, but I tend to be the light monkey for one of my photographer friends who does shoots like that. So I'm always the handler for like all of the ladies when they're in their costumes, where I'm just like, okay, well let's move this strap over here and like I'm gonna change the lighting to this direction. And so I find it really fascinating and I love it even though I don't do it myself.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that just drives me insane when people are like, oh, sexy cosplay is so easy. Like a little blood vessel like bursts in my brain and I'm like, like.
Did you guys see Jess's comment? Did you guys see Jess? So Jess is lurking. Did you start seeing that comment?
Sam, do you have like a jar of nipples or something?
Yeah, no, that's a good question.
For those of you who have heard me, I wear a lot of fake breasts so I can look boobalicious in costumes. I do not have a jar of nipples. They go straight into the garbage.
Like now you're worrying about all those like cloth things behind you. Like what secret horrors are stashed in those drawers? Like that's the real question, is where Sam's stash of nips is.
Anyways, so we're gonna move on to other questions. I'm not stashing nipples. So we've gone through both of Shelby's questions, so please go ahead and keep asking questions of us. I see another one on here. Where'd it go? From Sarah. And Sarah asked, what is the con that you've missed the most since they started getting delayed and or canceled?
Emerald City.
Emerald City for you?
100%. Emerald City.
That is a good con.
Because like half of my friends, like I have 4 of my best friends are up in Seattle. And so like Emerald City is one of those cons that like I get to go to as a pro. So like that's fun. And I get to go and see my friends and it's a completely different community. And I get to see Fenrir, which is my friend's dog, who I love very, 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 very much, like way too much. So yeah, Emerald City.
That's where we met for the first time, was at Emerald City. So.
Yep. What about you, Kii-Chan?
See, that's hard. I have a lot of cons that I like in the Seattle area that I work for, but I'd have to probably end up on probably SoccerCon. That's where most of my friends go to. That's my friend con where I get to say hi to everybody and see everyone from out of state or out of country. It's been a big part of my life. Like I've been going since like 2012 or something. Like I've been going there for years. And so like these last 2 years of missing it were the first years I've ever missed it. And since then, so it's been for me, like that's probably the hardest, especially because it's right around the corner. It happens on Easter. So like I just have this like really, really sad just wanting to be there because it's coming up, but it won't be there. And so for me, that would have to be SoccerCon.
It was weird for me this past year, the month of April and May. I was like, I'm not a ball of stress. Why is this? And I was like, oh, because Phoenix Fan Fusion isn't happening. Like,
Right.
which is the massive one here in Phoenix. I was like, it was weird not having those 2 months of ramping up. And
I have withdrawals. Like
yeah.
I'm used to having con crunch during the season because it's Emerald City and SoccerCon back to back because it's Emerald City. This was supposed to be this month and then like SoccerCon next month. So like I'm just so used to the stress and then like there's just nothing there and I'm like, this is weird.
I'm way less productive without con crunch.
Yeah.
Which like it's not like I don't think that says good things about like my ability to like budget my time, but like I was like, I'm not rushed to finish anything. So I've got literally a dozen projects at the 90% mark. Like right here, I have Harley from the cartoon. I have Panther from Persona. I have Morgan from Dragon Age. I have I have Cat Noir. Like these are literally just the 4 costumes that are sitting on the desk, and they're all at 90% because like usually that last 10% is what I do the 4 hours before the con. So it's not happening. I'm just like, oh, I'll get to it when I get to it.
Yeah. I for me, it'd be a toss up between Emerald City and Sabotin Con. I love
Sabotin is a close second. Yeah. Sabotin is the one I like because I just follow you around. When people are like, what are you doing for Sabotin? I'm like, I don't know, I'm following Sam. Like that's the con where like my whole goal is just to like be like, Sam, where are you going? Sam, what are we doing? Sam.
You know, I like that con because it is literally like a tribe of us. Like if there's less than 5 of us, it's probably because the other half is eating or sleeping or resting or changing. Yeah. But generally it's at least 10 to 15 of us in like
we just kind of like herd.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I think that's why I miss that one so much is the ability to herd is very my heart.
So you're essentially a border collie. You're like, I haven't been able to like bite people to make them go where I need them to go. So I'm sad.
I want because I feel like instead of sheep, I have corgis. I'm the border collie pushing all the cute corgis everywhere.
I'll be a corgi. That's fine.
But yeah, I'd say that's kind of would be Sabotin or Emerald City for me. So we've got a lot of comments here. Rob mentioned that a lot of 3D printing, 3D printers have open architecture now because of the laws, that's good. And then apparently Jessica is going to marry Bros and Cons. Good luck with that.
I support it. I ship it.
You're the best. And then a series showing the real side of cosplay. Yes, we all agree with that. It needs to happen. Like, you know, doing fiberglass on your front porch and having law enforcement show up. I remember that story. Good one. And then we've got Kat that says she loves Shibari as well. So more Shibari enthusiasts.
So pretty. It's so pretty. I'm so
excited. We have another question here that is there a dream project you have in mind, but you're a bit too intimidated to take on right now? Oh, yes, there is. Only I'm not intimidated anymore because I have a brother who said he'll help. So there is a dream project. I'll just pull this up that I've spoken to several people about, but there's this animated series called Bubblegum Crisis that has these people called the Night Sabers, and it just so happens that I believe my brother and I have come up with a way to create the hard suits for the Night Sabers, just like the base of it, and then the details would be with foam or Warbler afterwards. So this is the ultimate goal, having the Night Sabers, and so that is my 2022. 2022. I don't care if that's the only costume I do. That is the dream cosplay I've wanted to do for so long. Since I found out about cosplay, I've wanted to be a Night Saber. So
they're pretty cool.
Here is hoping my brother and I can work this out. We're thinking like if we can just get like the base for the legs, the head, and the body armor, then the jetpacks in the back or the changes in the hips can be done with foam or other additives later on. We'll see. We will see. But that is my dream cosplay that I really, really want to do. Really. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy, guys. But we think we can 3D print most of it and then even create some ways of easily getting in and out of the outfit, because obviously bathroom time and sitting is important.
Mhm.
So
yeah, that's a suit that is not built to sit.
you look super awesome in it, and you can walk in it because it does have joints and stuff, but the butt is plastic. So so we were talking about series of like dowels and magnets and snaps where you just kind of unsnap and everything like releases from a point. So we'll see. I'm here helping.
I am a big fan of magnets. Magnets are awesome. I feel like people don't utilize them nearly enough in cosplay. And especially for the wow factor of being able to just like pull parts of your cosplay off and put them back together. Like going back to my Nautilin Mandalorian, when I pull my faceplate off and put it back on, people are like, what is this sorcery? And I'm like, it's magnets. Like
magnets.
They're
yeah, I like to take washers. I buy washers. First, I take a washer from a hardware store. I test to make sure it's got enough metal in it to do its job, because there are some washers that don't have enough metal in them. Weird, but it's true. And I take washers and I like to sew them on the underside of my garments so that they're hidden. You can't even see them, and then you just snap stuff together.
And that's great for cloaks too, because you can just literally just like put your cloak on and go. And people are like, magic. I'm like, no, just magnets. Like
just magnets.
Bam, gone.
Yeah. Do you guys have any dream projects other than you talked about the Chagrian, right? Is that your dream?
Yeah, that's not what I'm intimidated though, because I know I can do it. I would say my dream project that it has intimidated me and so sits in my to-do folder forever is actually Kerrigan in her full Zerg form. I love that look so much, and I want to do it so bad. And I know how I would do it, which is to make a body cast and sculpt the pieces on the body cast. But that's like a lot, and to do it all out of silicone and make it look good. That one with the wings. To make that look good and to make it look form flattering would be really hard. So.
Yeah, you would have to. I mean, you could also get a mannequin and start laying layers upon layers upon layers of like latex or silicone and build it out, and then you'd have to like slowly separate it. And
and I want the wings to be articulate, even if they aren't motorized. I'd like them to be able, like we were talking about, having a base structure and then having like hinges in the wings so you could pull them out or tuck them in. Both for the drama of it. Yeah, that's the Kerrigan that from the cinematic. Like that's the like if I could recreate that picture, I'd just die happy. Like
that'd be amazing. So
but that's the thing that I like. I know I could do it, but like it's so daunting that I just kind of keep being like, maybe next year I'll try it. Maybe next year.
Yeah, that's intense.
Yeah.
I guess well, the costume that I've had on my open queue for absolute ages is D-Lit from Lotus War. I did her before, but I didn't do her armor. I just did like her dress outfit. And I don't think I'm intimidated anymore. Like I'm ready to pick her up. I just need to get that drive to do it.
Well, she's got some serious shoulder armor, like.
Right. And so like I used to be scared of armor and stuff, but now I've done so much of it that I'm like, oh, I'm ready to do her costume. I just need to like actually sit down and do it. So like D-Lit's up there, but she's no longer intimidating. I'd have to say probably my most like the costume that I really want to do, that I've been wanting to do, that I'm intimidated about doing, would have to be Queen Midna from Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Because if I do her costume, I want it to just be justified. Yeah, I want that to be pretty and perfect. And I also want to put lighting in her cloak, so all of the silver pieces light up and pulse like it's supposed to. And so like she's gonna be just like a huge project that I spent a couple of years doing. I just haven't done it because she's so scary. But I love her so much.
There's sometimes those cosplays that aren't hard, but you want to do them perfectly. And so like you keep just putting them off.
Yeah.
She-Ra from season 5 is my big one that I've been talking about doing since I watched She-Ra. And like I want to do her so bad. And I know I can, but like I want to do it perfect. And so like I keep just kind of like putting her off because like I'm nervous. Yeah, that one with the butt cape and everything like that. Like, oh my God, I love her. I love that outfit so much. I want it to be shiny. I want to be tall. I want to be towering. I'm tiny, so I won't be muscly, which is probably the one thing I'm kind of sad about because She-Ra, she got some muscles, but like, yeah, sometimes you get those cosplays where you're like, I know I could do it, but I'd want to do it perfect. So
right. So I just keep putting it off, putting it off. And like Deedlit has literally been my dream costume since I found out what the word cosplay meant. Lotus War was my first anime that I ever really remember watching it as a kid. And so like Deedlit is my dream someday, and I put her up on a pedestal, and I just want her to be perfect.
Cat, be my Catra.
Yeah.
Please,
Yeah.
marry me.
So we've got some comments. Salvaton does roll, thank you. And then Kat talked about the Chris Princess Club. And yes, I love Lobster Princess. Okay. Lobster Princess. I will totally do a princess with you from Chris Princess Club. Holy crap. I love that comic. It is so feel good. Anyway, sorry. And then Rob said you'll help with the cool. Rob said he'd help with the hard suits. So Rob, if Ben and I can figure out how to get it molded, yes, I will pay you all money. Anyways, Jessica thinks that you should do the Widow Kerrigan, Amber.
That's a really good one. That's a great suggestion too, because that's like towards that Kerrigan look and maybe would get me over the hump of nervousness about doing Kerrigan. So.
Yeah, no, I feel you there. And then Chris said that he really wants to do an Ogre Titan from Titanfall. Those things are
nice.
Nice. That would be pretty cool. And he's tall. Like Chris is like 6'6", 6'7". I don't know. He's big. Then we got a question. So Victoria asks, is there a character that you are 50-50 on bringing to life, but something is stopping you from doing so? Okay, Amber, you're nodding like you know.
So there is as people know, I've done Cammy and I've done Zangief. There is the new Melina coming out in the movie, and I kind of want to do her because the glimpses, and Sam, like you can look up pictures of her, but like there's not actually images of her out yet, and I'm like right on that cusp of, because like I love Melina and I'm excited to do her again, but I just know that if I do her, I'm going to have to listen to how terrible the movie is, because it's going to be terrible. Like, it's freaking Mortal Kombat. It's not. Yeah, that's a old video game Melina. But yeah, the Melina or the Mortal Kombat movie is coming out later this year. And like, I'm excited for it. But it's also one of those things where I'm like, man, I'm just going to have to listen to like nerds bitch about like how bad that movie is. So like part of me wants to do her because she's one of my favorite characters, and then part of me is like, I don't want to hear the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. Like, nerds, I love you, but y'all get tired sometimes with your hate on things.
Yeah. What about you, Kii-Chan? Do you have anything that you've kind of been 50-50 on?
I don't know. Like, usually if I go in, I'm like 100% in and I don't care what people think. I do a lot of like manga cosplay and stuff, so I've gotten over that. Like, if somebody has a problem with my costume or if somebody's gonna bitch about my costume, I don't give two shits about it. But like lately I've been really like monitoring what goes on my list and what doesn't go on my list. So like if I'm at the 50-50 mark, then it gets booted off my list. Like that's just my rule of thumb now, that it's like, okay, if I'm not actually in this, it's not on my list. So I'm pretty good about like, I have to be 100% in or it's not on my cosplay list anymore. So
I mean, there's so many good cosplays to do, and
right, like I have to be picky because between my job's getting super busy right now and pandemic stress and stuff, I'm like, I just don't have the energy to pick up like 10 costumes anymore. I'm gonna pick like 3 that I'm really into, and that's all I'm building. And so that's kind of my new policy.
I think for me, the Melina movie one will happen if she's badass in the movie, and that'll be like the deciding factor. If they pull a Phasma with her and she just like stands and then immediately dies, then I probably won't do her. But if she like bites some people in half, like then I'll probably want to do her. It's kind of like to be determined. Like I think I'll want to, but like it could go either way. So how about you, Sam?
I've always wanted to do Vision. But Vision, like not Vision like human Vision. I'm talking about Vision full on, crazy transparent cape, insane bodysuit, full makeup. Like the reason I haven't done it is because I know it'll take 2 hours every time to put it on. The bodysuit, I would either buy it or just know that I'm about to spend 6 months sewing a bodysuit because I'm good at bodysuits. I could do it. It's just, I don't know if I want to spend all that time with all the detail work. It's insane when there's already bodysuits that exist that are really good that I could use. And that's it. It's like there's already costumes in place that I've like Pro Cosplay has an amazing version and I wouldn't mind investing in that. But it's one of those things that like, okay, cool. So I've got this great costume and I have to spend 2 to 2.5 hours every single time doing my makeup.
People are always like, where Darth Talon? Where Darth Talon? I'm like, Darth Talon is like 5 hours of prep, guys. You don't understand what you were asking of me.
There were 2 of us working on her. I was working
2
on
of
her.
us.
I was the front, or her husband was the, I don't know, front and back. We just kept switching. But we kept, like, I brought my airbrush. He had his. We were just taking turns spraying amber.
Yeah. Yeah. Every time people are like, oh, we're Darth Talon. I'm like, do I want to like go to a con on no sleep and 5 hours of stress because I'm watching the clock tick down?
Like, the great thing, like even if you wear like there are places like We Love Colors that sell bodysuits and stuff like that, and you can do that, but people don't understand. You're still going to have to do a lot of prep work where you're going to have to put it in a mannequin, paint all the tattoos on, let it set, then wash it, make sure that no staining happened, and you want to wash after painting on tights because if you put it on before washing it and you sweat, you might actually have it start dripping down your body. So you wash afterwards to make sure that there's nothing else left in there that could be a problem. And then putting it on all day, you have to think about, okay, I've got this whole bodysuit on, so I'm only painted from here up. Now, every time I go to the bathroom, it's an hour to get me completely undressed, to use the bathroom, and then get dressed back up. So,
and it's so hard to get a bodysuit that doesn't immediately scream, I'm a bodysuit. And like, I am not shaming people who wear bodysuits instead of body painting. It is a valid thing to do. Like you said, like it is easier and some people are reactive to body paint. So like if you use a bodysuit instead of body painting, that is legit, that is valid, that is good. Like go for it. Personally, I know I can body paint. So if I wear a bodysuit, all I can see on myself is the seam lines and the neckline and the lack of definition in the boobs.
Even with the bodysuits that don't have seams, it's still so much work. It's like you're spending $100.
And there's always like fake wrinkles and stuff like that. So like for me personally, again, just for me personally, I have different rules for myself than I do for other people. For me personally, knowing what I am capable of, I don't like bodysuits for body paint.
I am fine with mesh bodysuits, but it's one of those things that I always go a size down on the suit, and then I have to wear 2 layers. Like I have to white out my skin with a white suit underneath, or white tights underneath, and then another color over, so I have a matte color going over so that my skin tone isn't showing through. That's another thing. When you get it tightened up to where you don't get the wrinkling, you have to do 2 layers so that you don't show your own skin. And it's in general, let's just say characters that have completely different body paints, it's a lot of work. And so that's why, like, even though I love Vision and I would love to do a Vision cosplay, I don't think I ever will, just because the only way to get around it is to make a mask. And I'd want it to be silicone masks, and silicone masks, having worn a full face prosthetic, you can't breathe. And so you really only have a few hours before you're feeling like you're about to pass out.
Talon, the head tails are glued on. So like I have to, like I don't get to take them off for taking breaks. So I've worn Talon 4 times now, and I might not ever wear her again. Like it would have to be a very good reason for me to wear her again, just because like she's so much work. So much work.
Yeah.
I love Vax, but I usually only do the casual version because like putting on like I mean he's not completed yet, but what I do have completed is already so much work that I'm like when this costume is completed, it's for a competition.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like I don't want to wear this.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's certain costumes that you're like, okay, either I'm going to see a kid at a hospital or I'm doing some kind of big charity thing and this really help
That's
promote them, or I need a photo shoot this one time. Yeah.
The only reason I wore Talon to the last convention was that it was in Yuma and I knew that I was going to go shoot in the dunes the next day. So I literally and then I even wore the body paint home. And so like I was Talon for 3 days straight. And that was the only reason I did it because I knew I could do convention, then dunes, then we did a boudoir shoot at home. So
yeah,
after that I was like, I'm done. That's it.
So let's see here. Let's see. Thanks for. So we've got people who are like, yeah, Mortal Kombat would be awesome. And then Horatio's like, oh wait, it's not fun to be surrounded by killjoys.
Let's just put this out here. The Mortal Kombat movie is going to be terrible, but as long as there is gore and there is action and body parts flying, I'm good.
Yeah.
That's my standard.
And then, yeah, it is hard to commit to a costume when you're only 50% into it. So, or when you really want to do it, but then you look at like all of the work it's going to take, and every time you put it on, you're like, no. And apparently Chris is not nodding, and fellow big bro, we are nodding back to you. And Sakura Elric said, Kii-Chan, that's super smart to do only when you really, really want to do it. So yeah, only doing a costume when you really want to do it is very smart.
I try very hard now.
And yeah, so like, thank you all for all these comments, for keeping us going. We've got 2 more questions, which I think we can get through before the end of the stream. So we'll go with Veneratio has another one. Is there a piece that you made for one project and then ended up being used better for a totally different project? Yes.
All the time.
All the time.
Well, if I have a costume that's retired, I'll use pieces off of my old costumes to jumpstart whatever I'm working on. So like actually right now my pandemic challenge to myself is using only pieces I have and like not going out and buying stuff so I can actually get through my backstock. So all of the costumes I'm building right now are only like I can spend like up to 10, 20 bucks maybe on the piece, but then the rest has to be out of my closet. So I reuse a lot of my stuff, especially patterns. Most of my patterns are marked to be reused for things. I think it's a good policy, especially if you feel like you're never going to wear a costume again. Or if you make something and you're like, wow, that color would match this person way better. Do it. Just do it. Like, there's no shame in that. You built the piece, like, keep using it.
You look up. Right. I think that happens a lot.
Yeah, I have some base pieces that I have made specifically to be used for multiple things. Like actually this cat suit. This cat suit is for my Twi'lek. It's for Black Widow. It's for Ghost Widow from City of Heroes, something that nobody ever knows, but I want to build anyway. It's being used for Raven right now. It's for Cat Noir. So there are some pieces that I specifically build to be generic and to be modular. For me, 95% of what I make is very specific, so it really isn't transferable. Like Twi'lek headpieces are really only good for Twi'leks, and I don't do much sewing. So for me, I almost always make something with an end goal in mind and use it for that. But
I use a lot of wigs. Like a lot of my wigs are like generically passed on to like the next set of characters.
Yeah.
If I can, just because wigs are so expensive, and if they're still in good shape, then I'm just gonna keep going.
Yeah, wigs and shoes are what I do. Like I basically that's actually why I don't have very many wigs that are permanently styled. Sorry, he keeps trying to block the screen. I don't have wigs that are permanently styled just because I use them for other things, so I just restyle them every time. And then I have shoes that I like to wear underneath specific boot covers every time because they're so comfortable and no problems with them. So yeah, I would say that's pretty common. And then what's the longest you've spent making a cosplay and how many times have you worn it? Do you want just like the one time I started working on it, or like the times that I worked on it, I thought it was done, but I wore it and it was like,
Yeah,
no,
that's
no,
me.
I'll let you guys do this. I'm gonna let my cat out because he's freaking out.
For me, I have two answers. My first one is the longest single iteration from start to beginning or start to kind of complete date. It was my Nautilin Mandalorian. That was about 2 years of just working on that specific armor. But for my my Twi'lek Mandalorian Rio, I've continuously worked on her since 2013 because she's an original character. So I specifically have built her costume after costume after costume and armor after armor. And like, I just wore her a couple like last month. Yeah. So that's the third iteration of her newest set of armor. She has literally dozens of different outfits at this point and all variations on that specific look. So I literally yesterday made a new breastplate for her for a new outfit. So
I mean, that's where I'm sitting. Like, one of my regrets as a younger cosplayer was I didn't keep track of my time. I never did. And so I have no idea how long costumes took me until about the last couple of years. So what I have recorded and known is my Demon Rom has taken the most. But that's also with wearing him going, I hate this, and rebuilding a new piece, and then wearing him and then going, I hate this, and then rebuilding a piece.
Yep.
And so I've rebuilt over and over and over on my Demon Rom. My boots are on, I think, the third or fourth try. Like, I just can't find boots I like. And there's such a big detail piece on him that it's so like I really just want those to be perfect. But I love him to death, and like I'll keep wearing him. I'm actually planning on probably making a new ROM card, but I think I'm at like 17 or 18 hours because the rest of the costume was pretty simple. It was just like a lot of those are the boots. Those right there. That was my first set of boots I did, and I've just like remade them so many freaking times. So I wish I had kept track, but I really don't have. And then I lost my cost planner when I broke my phone, so all of the times of the costumes that I had recently are gone to the ether. So I have no idea how long I've worked on Vax or how long I've worked on my Kirishima or. Please write down everything or put them in the cloud because I'm so bitter about the fact that I lost all my hours for Vax because I have no idea. I'm like, I wasn't paying attention. I haven't built him and like I haven't worked on him in like 6 months. I don't know what my last like timestamp was. So like if you do pay attention to that, like write it down. I'm just so mad at myself. This is such a sad question for me.
I do write everything down, but that's because I'm really obsessive with things.
I am now getting there. Like before I didn't care. Like I didn't do competitions, but like Sakura, my partner, is really into comps. And so like I started getting into competitions with her. But that means you have to pay attention to how many hours it takes to build a costume. And so like I finally got into it and I'm finally like writing stuff down. And all of it is now gone to the ether because I just kept track on my cost planner app because it was easy and convenient. I had it at cons with me. But now I'm like, oh no, it's all gone now.
So
I have no idea.
Yeah, a lot of people think that my thing Krios is probably what I spent the most time on. Oddly enough, most of the fabric was stretch, and I work really fast with stretch fabric. I don't even build a pattern. I know my body size, so like it's so easy for me to work with stretch fabric that I sewed the clothing super fast. It was just the mask took me about 40 hours between all the sculpting and casting and all of that. But what actually took me, it took me 6 months to build my Yojimbo the first time. And then I spent another 2.5 months after that improving it because the first pictures, which I think are at the bottom down here, the first pictures, where are they? Maybe I don't have the original pictures. Oh, here. So the first pictures, there's no detail in the belt. There's very little painting on the armor. There's no fabric paint in here. I didn't do any of the detail work. So it was okay, but it felt very bland and plain versus what I did 2.5 months later, where I got way more detail and painted it and I added more into it and ended up with this top part here where I have all of the fabric painting done. I've got all the detail work. I went in and shaded everything. I changed the color of the sorry, my phone is going crazy. I'm gonna put it in do not disturb real fast.
Just that's us. Sorry.
Oh no, it's okay. I just put in a lot of stuff and I painted it all, right? And so this is the detail I wanted originally, but I didn't get it right until afterwards. Basically, I was working on a contract too. I'd been sponsored by cosplaysupplies.com to work with Warbler's Cobra Cast art, the new version of it. And so I had a deadline that I had to finish, and I finished the costume by that deadline, but then I realized I could make so much more improvements. And so I repainted, I reapplied vinyl, I resewed some skirts, and like I added more length to the skirt. I painted the underside of the skirt so that when I flipped it, it had shading. like yeah. So I think
that's one of those things that people don't realize until they get into cosplay. But the first time you wear a costume, it's not done. Because guaranteed, you're going to walk away saying, I want to change this, this, this. I need to fix this. This broke. This bit me. You know, like you wear a costume to a convention, and then the next time you wear it, it's much closer to actually being done.
My haru that I made during pandemic, because I made my Arabian haru for last SoccerCon, and so I've actually worn it on stream a couple of times because it's my new favorite costume I've done. But the more times I wear it, the more I'm like, oh, I need to change this, and I need to change this, and oh, I already hate this, and I've only worn you for like 3 hours, so like there's a lot of pieces on my haru. So with that in mind, like good word of advice: wear your costume around your house for like an hour, just for the hell of it, see how it fits, see where it wears weird, like just do it.
Especially boots and especially armor, because if you've never made armor before, like at this point I've made so many sets of armor that I know how it's going to wear, but the first few times when I was learning how to make armor, like there were things that I didn't realize were going to be annoying. Like I made myself a gauntlet with this really cool like pokey piece for Widowmaker, like she has like the stabbies. And that was the worst thing ever, because where I had it oriented, if I brought up my arm, like it would stab myself in the arm. So like I had to like go in and like adjust my gauntlet so that it was sticking off to the side. Yeah, that left gauntlet, the way I originally had them was much more angled inwards, so that it was kind of in line with the gauntlet. And that was terrible. So I went in and I actually think I splayed them out and rotated them a little bit so that when I move my arm, they go off to the side instead. But that's one of the things I didn't know until I wore it all day and was like continually stabbing myself, going, ow, ow, ow.
Yeah, that makes sense. You just gotta wear it. I've learned some of my costumes I've worn, the skirts. This is actually costumes that have skirts that touch the ground. I refuse to allow them to touch the ground anymore. I don't care. I've been stepped on so many times by other people that I will purposefully make sure that it's at my feet or a little bit above my feet so that I don't step on it, the escalator doesn't eat it, and people don't step on it. So very important.
Lost things to the elevator before.
Yep.
I almost
escalators.
The escalator got
terrifying.
So, but yeah, we're gonna start wrapping up. So if you do have last minute questions, please post them, and if we don't get to them, we can also answer them later on. So as we're wrapping up, Amber, where can people reach you?
So you can reach me on all social media under Amber Brite Props. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I am on TikTok now.
Yay!
So, yay!
Join me.
Yeah. If you guys have ideas for duets and stuff like that, like let me know, because I'm a newbie. I'm exploring it. But amberbriteprops.com is my main website and has links to everything. And I have Patreon if you like spicy stuff like this, only with nipples. Not cut up jar ones like Sam has. Actual nipples.
Hey. All right.
Oh my God.
Where can everybody meet you?
You can find me at Kii-Chan _cosplay on Instagram. Kii-Chan Cosplay is one word on Facebook, or on TikTok. I am tiny_raincloud. I'm not nearly as fancy as these two are, so I also suck at internet, so that's where you can find me.
That's okay.
TikTok auto plays when you open it.
Yes.
Cloud.
So cute. Okay. And then for me, it's very easy to just go to thermocosplay.com. I'll just share my website since we're all sharing stuff. But yeah, thermocosplay.com is where everything is. I've got the portfolio, events, tutorials, and more. And this is where you'll find everything. I read a lot of tutorials. It's kind of my thing. I actually have more to publish. I've just been kind of slow. I haven't published any this year other than a face painting one, which I forgot to put on my website. So that'll go there soon. But you can view it through YouTube. So I have all of the social, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube up here. So, yeah. So we'll check and see. And I don't see any I see a bunch of thank yous. You're welcome. Thank you for joining us today. Super appreciate it. And hello, everybody that has joined us in the interim as well. And then Kat says that she'd love to see Amber do a video of a Twi'lek doing makeup. You're already painted, and then the Twi'lek is just putting makeup over the makeup. That would be
great. I'm like, I could totally put foundation on top of my oil or my alcohol based paint too. So there we go.
Awesome.
Thanks for that. That's going to be nightmare fuel.
Yeah. So doing makeup, I think I'm in. This sounds great. And then Horatio said, thank you. It says it's been informative and fascinating. But that's kind of our goal, is just to help people around. Again, thank you all for joining us today. We are going to be taking a break on Easter, which I think is 2 weeks from now or 3 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now. So 3 weeks from now, we'll be doing an Easter break, but we do have, right, we're going to be, let me see here. We will have a stream on the 21st and the 28th of March. And I believe the next stream, oh gosh, can I remember what the next stream is?
Don't ask me. I don't know. I asked for the list a long time ago and never got it. So I don't know what we're doing.
I'm going to share it again in our group list then, because I need to make sure everybody knows what that is. So I'll just, while I'm here on the actual plans page, I'll just put it in our group thing. But, oh yeah. So
I'm just along for the ride. I have no idea what's ever happening.
I hate to be that person, but I broke my phone and now I've lost everything. Like I'm missing notes and my calendar dates and alarms, and I'm just a disaster.
So the next week, what we're going to be talking about is the history of cosplay. And that would probably be a good one if you want to learn like where it's come from, where it's gone.
That's my favorite topic.
About the history of cosplay and where we fell into the timeline. So it'll kind of give you an idea of like, I'm hoping they actually have a time. If I can't find a timeline, I'm going to make a timeline. But I know that we've done presentations on this before, so I believe that Jinx Cosplay and I can pull up an old presentation and we can talk through that presentation next week, just to talk about the history of cosplay. Because as others have asked on the stream today, what do we want to see change? Well, we can show you what has changed so far, and then maybe it'll kind of give us an idea of like what the escalation might be in the future.
Yes. Sounds fun.
So again, thank you. We'll see you all next week at 12 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I think it's the same as Pacific now as well. So cool. And you guys have a wonderful Sunday.